Welcome to the 3% Podcast. This is Chad Post from Open Letter Books, and I'm here with Tom Roberts from New Directions and from Albertine, the new bookstore at the French consulate in New York City. So it's been a little while since we had our last podcast, in part because Tom's been working seemingly night and day to get the store open, and it just opened this past week. And we want to talk about that today, along with this is our long-awaited podcast about a Little Lumpen Novelita by Roberto Bolaño, our first book club podcast or whatever. So you want to start? Do you want to tell us a little bit about the store, Tom?
Yes. So basically, this is a French bookstore in the cultural embassy of the, Republic of France, which is up in the Upper East Side near the Met and the Guggenheim on Museum Mile there on Fifth Avenue. So it's a gorgeous old building. And they remodeled the back of the first and second floors into a gorgeous new bookstore space. And it's been about a year in the making in terms of actually, they broke ground back about a year ago. And then the build out has been slow at first, but in the last 5 or 6 months, it was really intense. And it's, it's absolutely gorgeous, as it has to be, because it's in the French embassy. And they brought over a bookseller from Toulouse. His name is Francois Xavier, and he came over about a year ago and has been helping with the setup and all that. And I got hired only about 3 weeks ago to be the deputy director. And there's another woman, also French, who moved over from France about the same time that I got the job. So she and I are new to the endeavor, but it has been a long time in the making, and it's so far so good. It's a gorgeous space, and it's about 14,000 books.
Wow.
Most of which are in French, and they're, I think the estimate is about 20% are books originally written in French that have been translated into English and thus published in the U.S. or in the U.K. and at any rate available to us to sell. So, we have Céline and Cambu and all these people in French and English, and Welbeck and Eynard and all these sorts of people in French and English shelved together.
That's super cool. Sorry, go on. And
they also have a lot of world literature translated into French. And then, of course, American authors translated into French. Here, Paul Auster's and Jim Harrison's and Don DeLillo and whoever else the French are obsessed with. So
that's really cool. Are you going to have a lot of events there as well?
Yeah, there's a festival in mid-October that's 5 straight days of events and curated by Grail Marcus.
Wow.
And so some French authors are coming over, Emmanuel Carrère being one of them that I'm excited about.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
Have you read that new book of his?
No, it's only in French at this point. And
no, the one on Lermontov, or no, who is it?
Limonov.
Yeah,
he's the new one beyond that. He wrote another one. I don't even think Limonov is available in English yet. But
I have the Galley.
You do have the Galley.
Yeah.
But the other one, Royem, it's just been published in France, and everyone thinks it's going to win the Goncourt and blah, blah, blah. So,
wow.
So he'll be here. And then, I think we'll have a couple events a week. Nothing too crazy, but, some good stuff.
That's cool. I noticed on the website, too, that there's a blog that you wrote at least one thing for. Are you planning on doing anything more with that?
No, who knows? We'll see. That was signed to all of our names, I believe. We just kind of needed to get some stuff on the blog. We'll see how it goes. It's not necessarily my responsibility, and I'm so busy sort of running the store that we'll see. And, we're still in the process of setting up and all that. So, I would like to, but really haven't had a moment to do anything beyond, just make sure the store functions on a store level at this point. So,
yeah,
we'll see. It'll take some time to settle in, and God damn, is it exhausting setting up a bookstore.
I can't even imagine. That seems pretty intense. I wonder if any other embassies are going to try and follow suit with this.
I don't know. As far as we can tell, this is the first instance of this anywhere in the world. So,
wow. That makes sense. I mean, I've never heard of it before, but like it seems like a really good idea, and it's a good fit, and it's something that they have like the most beautiful space for. And they've always done so many great book events at that consulate.
Yeah, I mean they have. In the rest of the building, the 6 floors are all the offices of the people who, this is the cultural embassy, the cultural services. There's nothing beyond that in the building, and so it's
right.
The people who work in the film world and performing arts and music and the book department that you're familiar with. All those people work upstairs, and they're very good about promoting French art in America, especially in New York. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I don't know that anyone else is positioned to really do that. I guess the Germans could probably.
I was going to say they could. They had that. I don't know what's going on with them. This is weirdly insider baseball, but remember they had to move out of that space because of the fire code violation.
I don't know exactly what it was.
I think what it was is that something about the fire code, the width of the doors had to be changed, and to do that, it was going to take like a year. It was like some massive remodeling project, which is why they moved from right up there as well on the Upper East Side down to like Spring Street for the time being. And then I wonder if they rehab that space, they could potentially have room or something. And they would be the only other ones that it would make sense for, I think.
I agree. Yeah. So that's that.
So now all of our listeners can come hound you during the day.
Right. They can. I am now, publicly accessible. Although it is on the Upper East Side, so God knows how many people are hanging out up there. But,
yeah, that's true.
But a lot of French people live over there, it turns out. So
one of the board members for Delkey, I assume he still lives there, but he lives right there, like in the building on Fifth Avenue across from the Guggenheim. So when you stood on his balcony, you were looking down on the Guggenheim. I used to stay up there with him a lot when I went to New York, so I know that area somewhat well. But probably one of the few people. But
it's gorgeous. It's just it's a long way away from I think
from Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn and most of the stomping ground that a lot of the people we know call home, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So do you want to talk about the Roberto Bolaño novel?
Sure. I read it a while ago in galley form, but I think I remember the gist of it and what I liked about it and why I was so surprised by it. Can I read I'm trying to look up. We did ask people to send in some emails. I don't know that we got too many. Let me look here. Oh, here we go. No, that is not helpful. That is a very strange. George Carroll. Should I read George's?
Yeah.
Okay. Dear guys, think you should make a rule about your upcoming Bolaño pod, which instead of writing podcast, George said pod. You can't use any more words discussing it than he used to write it. There's that.
That would be fairly difficult to do.
But I did have, so about, when was this? Early in August, I got an email from a bookseller in Houston at Brazos who asked me for a copy. And we were out of galleys, and I said, I can send you the PDF. And he's like, oh, that's no problem. I just want to read it so much. And like 2 days later, I'm not even kidding, he writes back and says this. I finished reading the novella last night. Maybe it's just me, but I think it ranks right up there with some of Bolaño's best. Although a very straightforward narrative, the language and pacing is perfect. And though it's something Bolaño could probably do in his sleep, the unspoken sense of dread, along with the meshing of a dream landscape with the everyday, is just incredible. Truthfully, I wasn't expecting anything else so good to be published from his work, and it just pleases me to no end. Okay, and another note, another gorgeous translation from Natasha Wimmer. So,
yeah, she's amazing. The translation is really, really good.
Yes. Part of the reason we published this, and I should say, I'm still saying we from New Directions because I do still work for New Directions as well. Right. Part of the reason we published it is because she was so adamant that we do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we weren't quite sure because we'd heard, various differing things about how the quality of it and whatnot. And she was really adamant. So, we did it.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's it.
And this was the last book of his to be published before he died. Yeah.
Yes.
And you guys signed it on a long time ago, though, right? Or is this a newer?
No, we signed it on only a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Put it right into the schedule.
I don't know what that was. That was pretty loud. This is the last one that you guys are doing, though.
As far as I know.
I think that I was talking to Valerie Miles, who knew him and has gone through. She's the person who put together our 1,000 Forests and One Acorn book, and she's been in publishing in Spain for years. She's from America originally, though, and she was Maria's editor actually, and he actually helped put together that book as well. I don't know if you know that, but she's the only person who's gone through all of his Bolaño's archives, or what was left over. That was officially, she's the only person that's done it so far. So she said there's a lot of interesting stuff in there, and she didn't tell me too much about it, but she is writing an article that's going to be coming out about the title 2666 and what she found out about that in his archives, which is random, but I think is kind of interesting.
How much is there to actually talk about the title?
2666, why is it 2666, I believe.
Right, but, isn't that kind of already known?
What do you... Maybe.
I was told that he had a vision. He was writing about the future, but not how the future would look in, 2066, but, 2666.
I don't know. She couldn't tell me anything about it. She has a dissertation that revolves around Bolaño too, and I think it's partly in there. But she has to send in this article to the Wiley agency before she comes back for her tour in 3 weeks, so that she can discuss it in more detail. Something. It's sort of confusing, but I'm curious to hear what she has to say, or what she found, or whatever. Maybe it's some new sort of explanation.
Why does that have to get run by Wiley?
Because he's the agent. I think he's going to try and place it.
Oh, okay. Not that they're trying to make sure that it's okay. Or anything.
I don't think so. I think it was more that because he's her agent as well. So I think he's representing, going to try and get it in a magazine, which I can only imagine will happen.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to this, yes, it was the last novel or work of fiction published in his lifetime, and it's quite short. I don't have it in front of me. 130 pages or something like that?
Yeah, just about. I have it right here. It is 109.
109. But
and that's a generous 109.
It's a generous 109. I will concede that point. But it's a story of a brother and sister who, though it's never explained why, are living on their own in...
It is explained. Their parents die in a car crash.
Oh, right. There's not a whole lot of detail surrounding that. I didn't quite believe that.
The thing that I thought was interesting about that, or that stuck out to me, is that they talk about the car crash. They're living in Italy, and I forget which city.
Say what city? That's what I was trying to remember. I don't think they did. But
I felt like it might, but I can't remember now. But they die. It does say where they died on a highway near Naples. So I just kept assuming it was in the Naples area that they were. Nope, they're maybe in Rome. Who knows? One of those places. But anyways, the car crash, when they go to see the car and their parents are dead, the girl's the narrator is oh, the car I thought it was yellow. This car isn't the right color. And her brother is oh, well, in certain accidents, it changes the nature of everything, including light. And it's sort of for me, was that was the entry point into this sort of weird world in which this takes place. That's not exactly the most realistic of worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, and wasn't he trying to argue the paint got... It was actually the paint or something. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a hard time believing the circumstances, and it's one of those things that maybe they had sort of created this myth surrounding why they were without parents and on their own, and and just sort of after a while, the lie becomes the truth after you say it so many times. Something like that. I don't know. They just seem to be really down and out, and like it was hard to believe that their parents didn't leave them anything or something. I don't know. Anyway, weird circumstances. The brother, how old is the brother?
I think my assumption is they're both like 17 to 21.
Okay.
That area, that range. I don't think it actually ever states specifically.
And he doesn't have a job, and she is...
Well, he ends up working at the gym.
Right, but at the beginning he does not have a job.
Right.
She has a job at a hair salon where she washes hair.
Yeah. And dreams of owning her own salon one day.
Right. And then all of a sudden he starts getting into working out and goes to a gym and brings home two random guys who are, I'm going to not remember this properly, not Italian.
No, one of them is
Romani? No, that doesn't make sense.
I'll find it. Yeah, it's one of them is like Syrian or something like that, and the other is German, I believe.
But they are, and they claim to be brothers, even though that's clearly not the case. And they just sort of move in, and she's a little freaked out about it at first, and she can't quite understand if they're trying to get something from them, from the brother and sister, or what. And I mean, but they end up just sort of sleeping there, but they also keep really good house and cook really good meals, and so she's okay. And things progress like this for a little while. They seem to be up to something, but she cannot figure it out for the life of her. And then suddenly there's this plot that they reveal, which is that she will befriend a aging, nearly blind former Mr. Universe who happens to live in the same town, who lives in a giant mansion and needs things done for him because he's blind, and
sexual things,
and sort of sexual things, and it's all very unclear. And they think, she can get this job, gain his confidences, and then at the same time search for this, mysterious, dreamed of safe somewhere in this house where he must assuredly keep millions and millions of, dollars or whatever.
Lira or whatever, yeah.
And she is she goes along with it reluctantly at first, but then when she meets the guy, it's fine. And I don't know. It all seems to be, she just seems to be someone who lives her life and things happen to her, right? Like she has no agency in anything.
There is a lot of driftingness to it. And like there's part of that blindness thing too, is that he doesn't turn on lights. And after their parents died in the car accident, and the color was wrong and maybe changed the way that you see color, she could see at night suddenly. And everything seemed very bright in the evening. And so like she's able to search the house better because she doesn't have to turn on the lights because she can see in the dark. And it was another one of those, like another part of the sort of, I want to say like a fog-like world that the characters exist in which there is like next to no agency. They just sort of like drift through, things kind of come up or occur. And I mean, the whole plot is like basically that they think there's a safe. She can go in there and have sex with him and then find the safe, take the money, and they will then all be super rich, which is an absurd idea. Like, and there's like, no one ever really questions that until the fact that she can't find any safe anywhere. Because there is no safe, probably. But the thing that I thought was interesting, I remember now what I was thinking about it last week. I read a bunch of the reviews online, and they talked a lot about that kind of driftiness, those sort of things. And what occurred to me is he wrote this in the middle of writing 2666, and it has like a feel of, here are the elements for like a noirish, like plotted book. Like people that would, if you made like a movie, you can make a movie that has like this film star and this kind of scheme, and these bad things are going to happen. But instead, he like removed all of the actual event part of things finishing or taking place or having someone be that scheming, and instead they're like the characters exist, and it's more like almost like a writing exercise where like creating that tone and that setting and the sort of atmosphere of it is so much more important than like yeah, there's this plot, but the plot is just there because we have these ridiculous plots. The real part is like in the way that he's describing and putting it all together.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, to your point, and I don't think this is really the same sort of mood or whatever as part 3 of 2666, which was the noirish one. Mainly because, I mean, Fate is so very different than she is as a narrator, and the sort of Fate is sort of all knowing and you just get the sense that nothing will go wrong under his watch. Right. Whereas you get the opposite impression from her, which is that at any moment, like, she's just going to get, the world is going to tear her apart, right? Like, she just can't seem to stop herself from getting in bad situations. I mean, she's fine with the bodybuilder, which, by the way, I don't know how you considered what you envisioned when you thought bodybuilder aging. I just thought of Franco Columbo.
Yeah.
Who is an Italian Mr. Universe, and a very nice, sweet guy. That's who I just imagined Franco Columbo. That's but she's fine with that. But then, back home, she suddenly starts letting both of the visitors that are staying with she and her brother to come into her room at night and sleep with her.
Yep.
And then sneak out, and she doesn't even know which one is which in any given moment. And she just kind of allows it. And I'm not saying she's a victim, but she just kind of drifts along, and the overall feeling is that something bad is going to happen to her.
Right.
And along the way, because she's sort of tasked with taking care of her brother, that something bad is going to happen to him too, because he seems like a total, drifter. Like, he has no control over his life. Like, he just met these two guys, and suddenly they're, dragging him into this bizarre plot, and, they convince him to let them stay at his house, and, all this sort of stuff that he just seems like a non-person almost,
Yeah, and all they do is watch TV and X-rated movies. Right.
Yeah, they watch. They
watch a De Niro movie at some point in time.
Do they watch Jeopardy or something?
They watch. Yeah, I assume it's Jeopardy as well. It just refers to it as a game show.
Or
one of the two guys is like a genius at it.
Right. Jeopardy, but I don't think that's on TV in Italy or whatever the. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which is still on TV in France. So who knows? But
how is that show still on TV?
I'm pretty sure it's still on TV in France.
Oh my goodness!
Qui veut gagner un million? It's quite famous. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
It probably is. It's probably still on TV here.
It could be. I mean, it honestly could be. I have no idea.
I don't either.
Anyway, yes. They just kind of drift along, and you just kind of feel like clearly this plot is not going to work out. I mean,
right. Yeah.
They reveal that they're hunting for a safe, and I was like, well, they're never finding a safe.
There's no safe. And even if they do find it, nothing's gonna. It's not like they're gonna crack the safe. These people don't seem particularly good at safe cracking.
They don't seem really good at anything.
No, and the only reason they know about this guy is that they delivered equipment to his gym.
Right.
And so they're like, oh yeah, now we'll just go in there.
Right. And because they happen to be bodybuilders themselves, they recognized him. Yeah, do people keep money in safes anymore? It's like,
I don't think so. Only in movies, because that's where it makes me feel like he was using these devices and then subverting them. Is that it's that device in the movie in which you move the painting and there's a safe there, and the rich people always keep their jewels in there. In Batman, the Catwoman will take takes the money out of the safe. In that most recent Batman, that's what I envision when you say a safe in a house. It's something hidden behind a painting.
But yeah, I don't know.
But no one does that.
No one does that. And then they're like, what were they going to do if they found a cache of? Why would this bodybuilder have jewels? I don't know. It's all just they're expecting to find gold bars. What exactly were they expecting to find?
I mean, he was a movie star, and he does have a big house. It is implied that he's fairly well off, and he always gives her cash. I guess that's part of it too, is that they don't know where the cash comes from.
Right.
So it must be in the house because he's blind. He's not going to go out and get money every day from the bank to give her for her pleasure times. Although she makes a big point over and over, even though like the first beginning line is like, "Sure, we became criminals, but I was never a prostitute," which is like an interesting distinction. Like, she wasn't technically a prostitute, but at the same time, like, she was sleeping with him to try and rob him and taking money for it.
Yes.
And the epigraph is the opening thing, right? The epigraph is interesting too because it's from Artaud. It's all writing is garbage. People who come out of nowhere and try to put it into words, any part of what goes on in their minds are pigs. All writers are pigs, especially writers today. Which made me feel too like there's like a tension between the plot, or like how a book has to have a plot, and like what he was trying to like create.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what makes Bolaño so brilliant is the acknowledgement that, you know, trying to mimic real life is just absurd, and that life is, you know, in and of itself just, you know, a marvelous, appalling, horrible, beautiful thing, and they're trying to mimic it is a fool's game. So why not just fuck with the narrative the whole way, you know, and try to investigate sort of, you know, feelings and moods, and sort of be happy to just live in that, you know?
Yeah. So where do you rank this among his books, personally?
Well, I would say, 2666 is the masterpiece.
Okay. I agree with that, too.
For me, Distant Star is second. I feel like Nazi Literature is right behind that.
That's one of my favorites, too. Although I also really like Last Evenings on Earth as like a short story collection.
Yeah. What else? I quite like the oh God, I'm blanking on the title. The early one.
The Skating Rink?
No, not well. That's a really good one too. But no, the one that was just published a couple of years ago.
Not Antwerp.
No, not by us. By FSG.
Oh, The Third Reich.
The Third Reich. I really enjoyed The Third Reich.
Really, that's one I haven't read actually.
I really enjoyed that, and then I would put this one right there.
Huh? That's pretty high ranking for all of his books.
I'm not a big fan of Savage Detectives at all.
Really?
No, it's too much. I have a hard time with books where the main character is a writer. Sorry.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
unless it's like a kid writer. If it's a child narrator writer, then it's better, right? It's like the worst possible.
I might burn that the second I got 10 pages in.
Did you ever read Woes of the True Policeman?
I did. I mean, and that is what it is, but it's just part of basically 2666, right?
Yeah, we use that. I use that in my class, actually.
It's hard to really think of that as a completed work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, really hard. Really, really hard. It's hard to think of it as like a standalone thing.
Yeah.
But this is really quite good. I mean, it's menacing and yet quiet, and I don't know, like, you know, he's famous for this whole thing about, you know, coming to the edge of the abyss and looking in. And I feel that's what he does here, you know, and yeah, there's not a whole lot of murder and true violence, and, you know, nothing shocking truly happens, but it feels like it could at any given moment. And
right.
I don't know. I kind of like being toyed with like that. I mean, to me, the best noir and the best thrillers are the ones where, even though you kind of know what's happening, and here we kind of knew what was happening, you know, barring some really truly horrible, you know, disaster that we didn't see coming, which is just not his style, so I didn't think it would happen. You kind of know where you're being led along, and you know, you knew that nothing was going to happen and that nothing was going to resolve itself, and yet that's actually more sort of sad and depressing, because, you know, when the book ends, I mean, what do you actually think about this woman's life and how it's, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
She's got 50 more years of this.
Of
right?
drifting.
Yeah.
trying to get a hair salon.
Right. You know, taking care of her slacker brother and, you know, the specter of their parents' death. And I don't know. It just seems, you know, look, and people can change their lives, but this incident of, you know, young adulthood when they're trying to make something for themselves and how badly it goes and how ill thought out it is just sort of seems indicative for the rest of their lives. And, you know,
yeah,
that's kind of sad.
It is the sort of the lumpen sort of proletariat aspect or implication of that is pretty prevalent too. That they're not going to, nothing's going to get better. They're never going to strike it rich. No,
they are never, ever, ever going to strike it rich.
So you're watching Kansas City too, right? Who do you want?
I have not looked up at all.
I just looked up and saw a guy on third with 2 outs in the bottom of the third.
I have no idea who's up.
Who do you want to win?
Kansas City, I think.
You think? Okay.
I like. Wow, that was a weird sign.
The Cain is able.
Cain is able. Yes.
it's like but one of the better puns.
I mean, yeah, sure.
I wasn't sure at first when they were showing it. Like, who are they actually talking about? And he's batting. I have not watched the Royals play all year. It's tied now. That was a nice hit. So I want Kansas City to win too.
Yeah, I think Kansas City. Wait, you're ahead of me. How did that happen?
That's. Do you have DirecTV?
No.
Do you have cable?
Yeah.
Is it Time Warner?
Yes.
Where? Yeah, it shouldn't be. I shouldn't be ahead of you at all.
Well, you are.
That's very weird.
It is very weird.
But yeah, I'd love Kansas City to win. Who else are you rooting for overall?
Baltimore.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
I have a very good friend who's an Orioles fan. So.
They're connected. I think I told you this, but Rochester Red Wings used to be Baltimore's farm club. And I think Cal Ripken played here on his way to the majors. And for whatever reason, and like people here love Baltimore too, because it's like sort of tied to the old history of the Red Wings. So I think it would be cool for Baltimore, definitely. I don't want the Angels. Fuck them. I'm so sick of them. That guy, I'm related to their manager too. But I'd rather they never win, ever. And then who else is there? Oh, Detroit. Who cares? Dude, they're just gonna fail anyways.
Yeah,
they'll get so close and then fail. But I am glad that I'm not a fan of either one of these teams, though, because these wild card nights would drive me insane.
Fucking nightmare! It's so bizarre.
There was the only time, the first year that they had it, you were here, and it was during Alta that the Cardinals beat Atlanta for that wild card to make the playoffs, and that was too tense. But I was at that party, so it didn't matter. Like I couldn't watch it, but it's just too much. Like I already like up and downs of like the playoff series. Like I can't take that stress to deal with it on this one game. No, I'd rather my team does not make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's really strange to play 162 games and then have a one-game playoff. It just seems so antithetical to the entire concept of baseball. Anyway, back to the...
I don't know that I have anything else to add to this for the book itself.
No, I don't either. I mean, I really, apart from really hoping that people read this and not dismiss it as, you know, us digging through his, you know, dead letters or whatever, and appreciate that, you know, this was published in his lifetime, and, you know, publishers in Spain thought it worthy, and Bolaño thought it worthy because he was not one to be easily pushed into publishing something that he didn't want to. Mm-hmm. And it's a really good book. I mean, short as it is, it's really good. Oh, we should mention that there is a movie of it.
Oh, that's right.
Whose title I am totally forgetting.
Someone emailed me about.
I knew about it because it played in New York and
okay,
whatever. But I did not see it. It was gone out of the theaters very quickly. I think it had played at a Il Futuro, the future, whatever. It came out last year, 2013, and you know. probably did nothing. I'm sure it's on DVD at somewhere in the world. We can probably get it.
I think I can embed the trailer into to the post for this. The Internet Movie Database rating for it is 5.8.
That's not very good.
That's not very high. No. Although the Metascore is 80 out of 100. That's still not very good.
Anyway, so we're doing another one of these at some point, right?
Yeah. You wanted to do the what's his name?
Dennis Johnson?
That book, yes.
Yeah.
The new one, which I don't have, but I don't think it's out yet either.
No, it doesn't come out until like November, I don't think. So,
let's see.
But you know people.
Although, is it FSG?
Yeah.
Okay, I might know people. I hope I can get a copy of that from them. So The Laughing Monsters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, November 4th. But I can read it right when it comes out, or right when I can get a hold of it. Because if we did it like every 6 weeks, that probably makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, one other thing and Nate might want to trim parts of this, but one other thing I wanted to ask you about was, did you read the article about how German publishers and French publisher, I believe as well, were passing on the new Martin Amis book and aren't publishing it?
Talk about the Nazi one?
Yeah.
What is their justification?
Let me see if I can find it. It says they just said that they're like, oh, it's just not that good. And like the way that's being pitched in the story in the New York Times is that it's like because it's sympathetic towards a Nazi outlaw, or not sympathetic, but like the character is a Nazi, right? The main.
Yeah. Well, they all are.
They all are. What is the description here? By turns, a love story and a meditation on Nazi horrors written with a self-consciously grotesque humor. The zone of interest takes place in the fictional KZ 1, the same fictional branch of Auschwitz where Mr. Amos set his 1991 novel, Time's Arrow. The new book is certainly not the first work of fiction to treat the Holocaust with dark humor, but in Europe, where there's been particular sensitivity recently to a rise in anti-Semitic incidents, publishers this time seem squeamish. So his German publisher, Gallimard, declined to publish it, and they said it wasn't very convincing. Specifically, we're not passing on it. We're passing on it for literary reasons. Although many found this decision puzzling, so on and so forth, especially since they published The Kindly Ones, the Jonathan Littell book. But it's picked up in France, it ended up being picked up by Kelman Levy, which is part of Hachette, but is apparently a much smaller little bit. And then also Hanser Verlag passed on it because they said there are too many inconsistencies in the plot and that the main character was too sympathetic to the Nazi cause.
I will just say that I'm a huge Martin Amis fan, and I was given a galley of this, and I got about 50 pages in and put it down because I didn't think it was very good.
Fair enough. I thought that you didn't like it. I knew that you didn't like it, but it is interesting because he's such a big name. I mean, it seems like a crazy thing that like some of these named authors that have a book come out every 2 years or whatever it might be, and it's just like clockwork. Like you publish it or Random House publishes it, and then X, Y, and Z publishers in France, Germany, Italy publish it. For that to for one of those people to just have that not happen seems sort of strange to me.
I agree, but I don't know. I mean, it's their right. If they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. You know, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, look, it's it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, the subject part, that's what I think it's like more about that. Because you know that no matter what, if they publish it, they'd make money.
Yeah.
It's not like
depending on what the event, anyway, yeah.
Right. But they'll sell copies of it. People, yes. He's got a following.
Yes.
But, interesting.
Anyway.
I have nothing else.
All right. Well, we'll do this again soon, and maybe we can talk about non-book. Not a specific book next time around. Maybe next week, a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
All right.
Very cool. I'll talk to you soon, then.
All right, later.